rod's only rattled off this morning. We saw some fish last night showing over the far side of the lake. It made sense really, it's the only part of the lake with no anglers. And just had a little drop down and a lift up, really cagey bite. And then I see the tip just bending round. I thought, here we go. And after a bit of a fraught battle, he's given me the run around. We've got what looks like a gorgeous Acton Common. If he comes in the net now, I will be one very happy chappy. A little bit more. Yes! Buzzing. What a result. Worked hard for that one. Actually recast that rod in the dark last night after watching the fish. Oh, what a buzz. After watching the water like a hawk, get this little beauty covered in gold doubloons. What a stunning fish. Looks like he's been a bit lucky in his life. You look at his tail there, he's growing back nice. Lovely golden fish. 36 pound he was on the scales, just over. Another victim of that German rig I told you about yesterday. Just keeps catching good fish for me. I can't wax lyrical enough about it. This is a proper one. What a fish, what a result. But there's still fish there. You know, we saw fish showing last night. I put a rod on them, managed to catch one on a bit of a different presentation to what I showed you yesterday. We'll go through that later. For now, I'm going to slip him back and see if I can get me another one. This is a small one. Me and Nigel had a 24 and a 36. That's quite a small fish for in here. There's a lot of 40 swimming around, so I'm going to send him back on his way and see if we can't slip the net under one of those. Look at that, what a stunner. Just let him rest there a while. He seems fairly happy to be sent on his way. Off you go, golden girl. Oh, now that is next level. So much for disturbing these big fish because, oh God, there we go, he's off. The other rod has probably only been in the water, just literally clipped the bobbin on, turned round, middle rod bobbin's pulled tight, thought, oh, did I knock that? And then the rod tip told me otherwise. This fish is, so far, he's just sort of kited on a tight line. He was swimming towards me for a long time, giving me the run around now in the margins as they often do. He's sending up a lot of swirls. Again, this fish has been caught on my favourite German rig. It's just a leg clip setup, really simple, one of our Zig clips. I'm actually fishing with a fluorocarbon leader, and at the top of the leader I've got one of our line droppers which you can sort of quickly change on and off. Ideal really for when you just want to sink that last sort of 3 or 4 foot of line. As I say, this fish is giving me the run around now in the margins. He's woken up a little bit, doesn't want to come to plate. I can just see the line dropper there, the back lead that I've put on. You can see that just bouncing around on there. Lead's come off though, which is always good. Looks like a mirror carp to me, but I could be wrong. He really is staying down low and really sending up a lot of plumes of water. It's lovely to see that. I'm just playing him gingerly. I've got my hand very, very close to the clutch. The good thing about the quick drag on the Avid reel is that if a fish does suddenly make a lunge, you're not frantically twisting the front of the drag to try and catch up with the fish. You can see there, off he goes on another little run. He's still a little bit green. Like I said, he just kited and kited and kited. He's swimming towards me for a long time, but he certainly woke up now. He was hoping for a nice little snack of tiger nuts and hemp, and what he got was a size 4 curve shank in his gob. And some fat bloke from Shropshire pulling him back towards the bank on the other end. Oh no, he's definitely woken up. Maybe a bit premature with the net, I think. I don't know if you've noticed the weather. We've got really overcast weather now. I mean, you couldn't ask for better carp fishing conditions. I think we just haven't been on the fish quite. And now I'm fishing over on that other side. We've found them. You know, the barometric pressure, as me and Nigel were talking about yesterday, has dropped significantly from what it was earlier in the week. There's a decrease in angling pressure on the lake, and that makes a huge difference, especially with these big pressured fish. You know, there's been a few open access weeks on here now, and quite a lot of anglers catching fish, and you know that obviously puts them down a little bit. They're not going to be feeding gung-ho. if you'd have told me when we got here a couple of days ago that I'd be catching them on PVA bags chucked to the other bank, I'd have laughed at you, but you have to play it as you see it. You know, there's no point coming with a preconceived idea. You've got to fish to the conditions, and we weren't really seeing fish. Yesterday's the first time we really saw them, and we've managed to get rods on them. It looks like a good fish. As I mentioned before in Acton, you know, if you're attached to one, it's usually a decent one. I wish this one would give up a little bit. I'd like to see him nestled in the folds. We've always got to be careful at this point. You know, these big fish, they can catch you unawares. Anybody who's snag fished for big fish will know how much of an irresistible force they can be. You know, if they want to go somewhere, they're going there, and if you've got the right tackle, the right gear, you're usually okay. He's just plodding down low. Nice to see him. I think he's going to take his first gulp of air. See a big shouldered mirror. Just see the hook bait hanging out of his mouth. And in she goes. Ho, ho, ho. That looks like a good fish. Let's have a look at it. Oh yes, you'll do for me. Let's get her out and have a look. Well, what a result. 34 pound of Acton Burnell mirror. This is a really typical sort of shaped fish for the lake. When I saw it on the end of the line, I called it. I thought it might have been a little bit bigger, but at 34, I am not going to grumble. It's truly, truly stunning. Massive pectoral fins, big tail, dorsal fin. Mr. Angry is at the moment. I think I might get beat up a little bit when I try and pick him up, so we'll take our time, and he'll calm down. There's no point picking him up when they're not happy. You can see he's flexing. He's a little bit twitchy, and if you pick him up in that sort of situation, you could do damage to yourself, but more importantly, you could damage the fish. So just leave them calm. Just put your hand over their eyes. That's a good way of calming them down. And a little bit of water of my water boy, Mr. Nigel Williams. Thank you very much. Get a bit on your hands as well, because often the temperature of you is very different to the temperature of the carp. That bit of water, not only does it make them look good for the cameras, it also stops that protective mucus that's on the side of the fish from coming off. I mean, this is a truly remarkable mirror. You can look at the size of his fins and that dorsal fin. What a creature. A few more of them and I will be a very, very happy boy. These are the fish you look at on the website and you think, oh, I'd love to catch one like that. Look at him, just pure muscle. You can see why he fought so hard under the tip. Mr. Angry. A lovely mirror. And I reckon we might be in for a few more, because this rod's not been in the water very long. It's the same rod that had the fish on earlier. I've got another rod over there now. I'm going to replace this rod and see if we can't catch another, because now the sun's out and that wind's changed. It looks very, very good. Rob Hales really knows his stuff with fish that are born to grow, born to be solid lumps of muscle like this one. Look at that. Does it get any better? I'm not sure, but there's a few more fish to come, so don't quote me on it. See you later, darling.
Yesterday morning you saw the fish I had, the 24 pounder. It's a little bit different today. We had so much rain yesterday and it was really cold overnight. Matt's had a right result with those 230s that you've seen, fishing in a slightly deeper water. Although the pegs are next to each other, they're on a sort of the curve in the lake, so I'm fishing totally different area, totally different sort of water. It's about 3.5 foot in front of me. There's not really an option to move to the deeper water where the fish have been seeing, and today, as you can see behind me, it's a little bit brighter, so I'm going to sit it out. Hopefully the sun might bring them through, they might drift up into the shallower water and I might get a chance. Tonight, I think I'm going to change tactics a little bit. It's obviously clear that they're not actually on the bait, they're not feeding anywhere around the lake. The other anglers here haven't actually caught and they've been putting in a fair bit of bait. So I'm going to take the lead of Matt. He's obviously had a couple of results using his little bags. So I'm going to attach a little bag to my favourite rig, which is obviously the Wivy, which I've shown you. And we're going to give that a go and see if that can bring us a result.
Right, we've got a bit of a lull in the action. Still a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Let me just quickly run you through how I've caught the last 2 carp. Like I said, we've been really, really observant. We watched the water as much as we could and we saw fish right on last night. If we hadn't have been watching the water, we definitely wouldn't have seen them. You wouldn't have heard them. It looked like they were maybe showing on a hatch or something. There were so many swifts, swallows, just attacking the water, flies everywhere. And I think maybe the fish were on a hatch or something, but it's given away their whereabouts, and I've had 2 bites doing exactly this. What I've done, I've got a couple of tins of hempen black tigers and crushed tigers and mixed it all together. I like those 2 tins together. You get a bit of crushed tiger in the normal colour and a few bigger bits with the black tiger. It's absolutely perfect. And the great thing about this is PVA friendly. So I can make myself up a little PVA bag of hempen hook baits. Hemp with a few bits of crushed tiger, a nice big black tiger in there. You know, they don't see that very often, do they? They normally see this type of bait as a big baited area or maybe a margin spot that somebody fed, but one little mouthful, it's a bit different to a bag of pellets. Another thing that I've been doing with the PVA, I like to get a little bit of action in the water column with dry ground bait that can rise and fall on the area. Like I said yesterday, those fish looked like they were on a hatch. They're probably up off the bottom a little bit. With the sun being out and the pressure has gone up a little bit, I think maybe they're just up in the water. So having a few bits of flake up and down. You know, I've got a mixture of a tiger fish and a bream feeder ground bait. It's full of lovely particles and a lovely, lovely sweet smell. So I just dust them off like that and I can make myself up a bag which is a bit brighter than this one. So over there now I've got 2 rods, one on this one, one on this one. They've both produced a fish, so that's happy days. The hook bait for both bites has been simple as that. My favourite German rig, once again, with a little wafter. This is actually a 24/7 bait, one of the new Sonu baits. Tipped with a bit of corn, you can't beat it. What do you reckon, Nigel? I reckon we've earned this one.
Well, it is cheese time.
It looks like it. We've got a right smorgasbord here. We just thought we'd have a little break for lunch. It looks like it's going to rain again after a lovely sunny morning, but can't grumble, can we? The fish definitely turned up earlier on.
Yeah, you had a right result, mate. You fished, you know, exactly right to the conditions.
But it was so hard to figure out what to do because we had nothing to go on, you know. We didn't know where they were. Didn't know if we picked the right swim. You catching one has kept me here. You know, yesterday I was thinking, oh, shall I move? You know, there are a few swims free.
Yeah.
But we sat it out, and I'm glad we did because last night I saw those carp and it's produced a couple of fish. I haven't seen any since. You know, we've sat here sort of guessing where they've gone now. So on that note, I reckon a bit more cheese.
Yeah, that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what we all come fishing for. We enjoy fishing, you know, it's part of enjoying it.
Yeah, well,
it's not all.
Hopefully the fish are in a similar sort of mood.
Yep.
Which one of these do you reckon would be the best bait?
Well, probably the sausage.
As I mentioned earlier when I was playing that fish, I've been using a fluorocarbon leader for this session. The fish are really spooky, you know, they've been fished for loads of times. So rather than use a sort of pin down leader, a lead-free leader or a lead core, even tubing, I think it can be really obvious on the bank. There is a little bit of clarity of water here, and in this shallow water, I think a nice long fluorocarbon leader is a good shape. To help me sink that down, I've got, you know, my lead clip there. I'm happy that all that bit there is going to sink, no problem. This bit here, with the undertow and everything, we've got quite a big wind. I like to use one of these Avid line droppers. Now they come in 2 different colours and 2 different sizes, and it's a really clever little device. It's based on something that the trout anglers use with like a float type device as a bite indicator. Now basically, I take my line dropper and there's a little slot on it. I put the line in the slot and then I twist. And inside there's like a little rubber device that holds it. The more I twist it, the more it will grip. So I twist it again and it grips a little bit more. Twist it again, then it grips just the right amount. It still moves under pressure, so it's not going to hurt the line or damage it if it gets caught in a snag or some weed. And I'll basically set that as far up the leader as I feel comfortable. Normally, I like to have it up as far, almost as long as the fish that I'd like to catch. I think if that bit is on the bottom, you're usually safe. The rest of your line, it's conjecture as to whether it's on the bottom. But with that, I know at least this final few yards will definitely be on the bottom. It's a great little tip, a lovely little product, and something you can add to your armoury. You can put it on the end of your normal leaders and you'll know that it's pinned down. It's just that extra bit of percentage that makes such a big difference when you're fishing for these big fish. As we've spoken about a few times on this trip, fishing for really big fish is all about those little percentages, those small things, the little changes that you can make that make a really big difference. One that I never used to do, but I do loads now, is I use either a little bit of putty or one of these tungsten rig drops on my rig. Now, for a lot of people, they use those to sink the rig down. You know, the idea is to make sure that this hook link is all pinned down on the bottom. That's all well and good, and I agree with that. That definitely makes a difference. But for me, there's another reason to use them. If you notice on my rig board, this tungsten rig drop is in the same place on almost all of the rigs. It's always in a very similar place. And the reason I do that is mechanical. If I show you here with this rig, you know, I've got my hook bait there, it's either wafting above or just sat on the bottom. With this German rig that I use, when I pick that hook bait up, so when a fish picks it up, that dropper just holds everything in position. That hook is hanging prone. No matter which direction I pick it up from, it's always hanging prone. And without that little dropper there, it would not do that. It's a nice little tip and something to just have a play about with your rig box next time you're out on the bank or when you're at home. When the missus is watching EastEnders and you're bored with your tackle box, just have a play around, because you might find that that tiny little tweak will make a big difference to your results.
Well, it's the evening of day 2 and it's been a really eventful day. Obviously you had a massive result earlier, Matt.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a 90-minute spell really, where the fish just sort of turned up. Well, we knew they were there from last night, but they switched on, a couple of bites. I was confident of getting another one, but the weather's changed so many times today, it's almost impossible to predict.
Well, just you've got the hill over there and the forest, and every now and again it's blue sky and then a massive black cloud and we get a downpour. We even had thunder and lightning.
I know, yeah, as you can probably see now, there's a blue sky, the sun is shining brightly in my eyes, I'm still getting drenched where all the drips are falling out the trees. It's a crazy lake.
It's getting to the time where we saw a few shows last night, so it's sort of, we're all a bit on edge really, hoping to see them back in the same areas.
Watching that far bank in expectation rather than hope. And yesterday, it was just hope.
Well, you've repositioned your rods earlier today to try and take advantage of the evening show, so hopefully, you know, we're going to get a bit more action. Well, Matt's going to get a bit more action on his area.
Well, it has been milder today, hasn't it? We've seen a lot more sunshine. The shallower water, it might be where they want to be. I mean, I do think that those fish over there are up in the water a little bit, and that's why the feeding spells were so condensed into a short period of time. We've had a couple of hours now where it's all gone a bit quiet. It's the middle of the day, the sun's quite bright, chances of a bite are maybe a little bit slimmer than they were earlier on. It has got a little bit warmer. I've got my 2 rods over on the far side where I saw the fish yesterday. That's produced a couple of fish, but it's leaving me with 1 rod, sort of redundant at the moment. Nothing's really happening. I found an area down on the marginal shelf that felt a bit like a mussel bed, but it hasn't really produced anything, and every time I've reeled it in, there's been quite a lot of sort of lake bed leaves, dark matter, all that sort of stuff on the bottom. So I'm not happy. So what I'm going to do is get the marker out and have a bit of a lead around, because I think there might be something a little bit more interesting. One thing that's really worth looking for on these silty venues is anywhere with a good depth change. You know, if you feel a donk, it's worth popping the float up straight away. And there I've felt it down onto quite a firm area, it feels. And I'll know on here if the lake bed is a little bit squiffy, because the marker float just simply won't come up. I mean, the temptation is to put a boom on, but then I think you get a false reading of how clear it is. So I mean, that felt pretty good. So I've got my depth gauge marker braid here, and it's got a little black line on it every foot to tell me that I'm paying off a foot at a time. The rod has also got marks at 6 inches and 12 inches. So again, a foot, I can tell exactly how deep it is. So we'll have a quick look at this area here. It's on the marginal slope, but it feels like it might be right at the bottom of it. So I've got 3 and 4 5, 6, 6.5 foot. That's quite a deep area for this part of the lake. So what I'll likely do now is have a bit more of a lead around this spot, try and find somewhere that's maybe even deeper than that to find the very bottom of the slope, because I think the natural food and any bait that might have gone in over the last few weeks has probably ended up at the bottom of the shelf. That's where I think I'm going to pick up a bite. I think it's where I'm actually picking up the bites from off the far bank. So it's well worth trying it on the near bank on lakes like this. You've got natural formations, the contours of the lake are sliding down like that. Fishing on the slope is hard. Boilies roll. They might not roll right away, but they always roll. They will keep going down to the bottom of the slope. So find the bottom of the slope. It's usually a good place to start on venues like this. Looks quite good tonight.
It looks awesome, mate.
It does, doesn't it? Last night was good. I reckon this might just be a little bit better. You've got the swifts and the swallows are back, nailing a hatch of some sort. You know, I brought some bloodworm in from over there earlier.
Possibly what the hatch is.
Yeah.
Was
Could
that
be a bit of mosquito.
was that from the area that we've seen the fish show?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that could be another reason why they've spent a bit of time there, you know. On these silty lakes, you do get those type of bloodworm beds, you get the natural food larders, and the fish definitely know where they are and they know where they're likely to turn up year after year.
I've found that even if they're not in feeding mode, like we've experienced this last couple of days, that the natural areas that they go to, where where their larder is, they'll spend time there and they use it as almost as in a route that as they move around the lake. You know, they'll stop off at spot to spot.
Oh, yeah. Well, patrol routes on lakes like this, you know, the more time you spend fishing a lake, the more you get to know what the fish are doing. And I sort of feel like as we've been here, we're starting to really get a feel for what these fish are up to. I know you've changed your tactics for the night.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sort of sticking with my guns on what's producing me fish. I've put another rod even closer to the producing area.
Right.
And then my left hand rod is somewhere over there.
Was
Let's just say it's not in my swim.
Is that in open water as well?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah, in open water, but I've tried to find the same sort of depth that I think I'm catching from over there.
Right, okay.
So it's quite shallow here. As I go further down to the left, it does drop off, but as you go out into the middle of the lake, it drops off even more. So
Yeah.
I think it's probably 7-8 foot over there.
Yeah,
So I've
interesting.
tried to find somewhere about the same depth out over this way.
It's about double what I've got.
Well, you need the sun to come out, and the sun
Well-
is going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to, hopefully, with this bit of warmer weather coming in tomorrow, my swim could liven up. It sounds daft to say you've been a little unlucky when you've had a brace of 30s, mid-30s at that. But, there are some, colossal fish in here. It'll be lovely to get one to show you guys at home, It'd be awesome.
Well, every time you see a fish on this lake, your heart jumps out your chest, because it's like someone throwing a fridge in the water, It's not like when they just come out quietly, you know about it, and they wake you up at night.
They certainly do. I heard a few last night, but unfortunately they were so far left. I thought it'd be a bit rude to put a rod that way.
Well, I'll be surprised. I'll be insulted if tomorrow you don't at least try and fish a little bit further left. But who knows? If the sun comes out, I might want to be up there.
You might well be in my swim.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the night brings. It looks like we've got a bit of cloud cover. Should be a bit milder than last night. That'll help. And hopefully, someone will bring fish and chips, and we will be happy as well.
Because it's freezing.
It's cold.
It's very cold.